Hey everybody, my name is Carter Clasper, and today I will be presenting the final case study on Gap Inc. First, we'll begin with our overview. The Gap's ability to lead the charge towards equitable pay between men and women began from its very founding in 1969, when husband and wife Don and Doris Fisher opened the first Gap store in San Francisco. Don and Doris's ability to collaborate and invest together equally has resonated with the Gap's mission into offering equal pay and better opportunities for women in the workforce. In order to provide equal and equitable pay for both men and women, the Gap has instilled a collaborative and inviting company culture that values both inclusion and close relationships. The Gap has also excelled at allowing women into more leadership roles to promote greater profits and continues to uphold equitable pay through female-style leadership and work culture, reputable pay management and analysis, flexible and family-friendly practices, and role model programs. While the Gap has become a leader in terms of its ability to provide equal pay and uphold company values, improvements can be made to these programs to promote greater diversity and inclusion efforts, such as compensation efforts based on socioeconomic status, greater mentorship towards people of color, and greater representation of the LGBTQ+ community. The base of this analysis and following recommendations include female-style leadership and culture, reputable pay management and analysis, flexible and family-friendly practices, and role model programs. In terms of the female leadership style and culture, Doris and Dawn Fisher's approach to an inclusive work culture has allowed for greater collaboration and understanding between employees, managers, and executives. This collaboration and understanding resonates within all levels, which creates a uniform understanding amongst all employees and further emphasizes the values-based approach in which the Gap and its employees align. Because the work culture at the Gap is so teamwork oriented, it allows managers to have a more personable approach and enhance the relationship with employees. This enhanced relationship allows for the goals of employees to be achieved under a supportive manager and allows for more women to obtain leadership positions due to a stronger support system from higher ups. Additionally, managers also have the opportunity to empower their employees by having access to view pay data. Managers are given access to the distribution of pay amongst employees and are given free rein in terms of paying talent appropriately. In doing so, managers can then incentivize employees to achieve higher goals and further enrich the employee-manager relationship by rewarding employees for taking on more difficult roles and providing more equitable compensation for employees who may have been getting underpaid due to confounding variables that have gone unnoticed. Through a more collaborative management style that creates a more approachable, fun work life, the Gap has been able to create a leadership style that promotes productivity and trust to allow employees to advance their position in a healthy, equitable way. The Gap has also taken initiatives to remove performance ratings from call centers, which generally has tendencies to illustrate gender biases. Having managers discuss these performance standards with employees personally allows managers the chance to again forge stronger connections with employees and help them improve towards their own standards to then help employees find achievement in the future. This highlights stronger relationships between manager and employees to help employees advance their position in the future. Next, we had reputable pay management and analysis. Because different pay gap measurement tools can be exploited to illustrate little differences between levels of position and other variables, the Gap utilizes a combination of organizational pay gap analysis alongside a like-for-like pay gap analysis in order to distinguish any disparities between the pay of both men and women. Using both an organizational pay and a like-for-like pay analysis allows for both positions and overall pay to be taken into consideration. Additionally, different geographic locations, roles, experience, tenure, and contributions were taken into account in order to accurately determine any discrepancies in pay between men and women. While team size and time at a particular position was not taken into account, these details provide additional context for the results. This more robust approach to pay management and analysis ensures that more fairness takes place in analyzing disparities in pay at Gap. To further emphasize their pay management measurement, Gap has also had their statistics validated by external management firms to ensure there are no significant differences in pay gaps between both men and women. These measurements highlight Gap's collaborative and inclusive values and that the company is willing to go above and beyond to ensure they are upholding their commitment to equal pay. However, there are ways in which the system could become even more robust through the inclusion of pay measurements between men and women of different races and cultural backgrounds. Next in our analysis, we have flexible and family-friendly practices. Gap's ability to adapt and cater to their employees is resonated through their different flexibility programs and initiatives. In accordance with their work values and collaborative leadership approach, Gap Inc. has incorporated more immersive paternity leave programs that cater to their employees in a more realistic way. Gap's ability to construct a phase in, phase out program for new parents, as well as create a results only work environment, allows employees to come into work on a more flexible schedule that caters to them, so long as results are met when doing so. The phase in, phase out program also allows new parents to schedule their time returning to work after having a child in a way that works for them. Additionally, Gap Inc. has also provided different resources through care.com and other Gap Inc. related resources that allows parents more subsidized backup childcare visits per employee calendar year. While these resources cater to any parent's time, these programs have helped mothers become more productive when returning to work, while also dismantling societal expectations of mothers being slow to return to work after having children. By catering to new mothers and creating more flexibility to new parents, Gap Inc. is able to retain employee satisfaction and ensure more equitable pay by offering resources to allow parents and mothers to be successful where traditional companies would fall short. These programs further illustrate Gap Inc.'s inclusivity and gender equality mission by providing the flexibility new parents need in order to better shift their time between parenthood and work life, which emphasizes the collaborative nature of Gap Inc.'s work culture and leadership style. Last in our analysis, we have mentorship programs. With the number of women in leadership roles at Gap Inc. in mind, it is crucial that the predominant number of women in entry-level positions at Gap Inc. have leaders that are also women to look up to as role models. In conjunction with their leadership style and collaborative work culture, having women leaders in a role model program helps to further illustrate a healthy and positive manager-employee relationship. Furthermore, the role model and mentorship programs have the ability to create change within the organization and instill the collaborative company and work culture Gap Inc. has built. Furthermore, having mentors with different characteristics, such as being a mother, illuminates the flexibility the Gap offers to new mothers and helps encourage Gap Inc. employees that they are capable of achieving great things while at the Gap without having to sacrifice the idea of having or starting a family. Mentorship program helps other women, quote, pay it forward, and helps to illustrate the collaborative nature of Gap Inc. by allowing women the opportunities and resources to advance themselves in the workplace while also helping those they mentor to do the same thing for other women in the future. This program especially has a capability to allow a more diverse group of women to enter leadership positions and help to show the collaborative and inclusive work culture and style at Gap Inc. Given our analysis, we now have our action plan. In order to improve on their efforts already made towards pay equity, diversity, and inclusion, Gap Inc. can further incorporate more involved and elaborate protocols within their pay gap analysis towards people of color, while also advocating for greater representation of women in executive branches, and especially women of color in more leadership positions. Gap Inc. could also incorporate greater inclusivity by providing resources for employees who identify as part of the LGBTQ community, which would further push greater diversity and inclusion practices and overall improve work quality and culture at Gap Inc. With our action plan, we now have our short-term recommendations. First, the Gap could include racial disparity measures as a part of their pay measures to ensure men and women of color are being paid the same as their white counterparts, while also including equitable resources for those of lower socioeconomic status. Second, the Gap can include similar measures of pay equity for members of the LGBTQ community, especially members of the LGBTQ community of color, to further ensure no pay gaps on account of intersectional disparities. Third, the Gap Inc. can create a feedback system that allows women and people of color to voice their opinion on how they can be better collaborated with. Fourth, the Gap can offer seminars on microaggressions and other behaviors that could be harmful to people of color in the workplace in order to align with collaboration and inclusivity. Fifth, the Gap can also offer mentorships to women of color in particular in order to allow them the chance to enter more leadership roles. And finally, the Gap can also offer additional resources for LGBTQ parents, including adoption services for same-sex parents looking to start a family. Now we have our long-term recommendations. First, the Gap can mandate a particular percentage of women within leadership roles at both managerial, regional, and executive positions. Second, the Gap can also mandate a percentage of those women in leadership roles be women of color in order to promote diverse thinking and collaboration. Third, the GAP can mandate additional resources be offered to employees of lower socioeconomic status in order to ensure equitable pay, paternity leave, and other resources. Finally, the GAP can create executive branches that identify with the community they serve, meaning if an area of a branch is located has a large Hispanic population, then establish an executive branch with Hispanic people to reflect the community they serve in order to establish greater cultural and general understanding. And that's it. Thanks, guys.